At SD Bullion, our everyday low prices are already lower than the big boys' so-called flash sales. One of the fastest growing bullion companies in the country, SD Bullion, just claimed a spot on the prestigious Inc. 500. So you have to ask yourself, why haven't you joined over 30,000 new customers who've recently made the switch to SD Bullion for the lowest gold, silver, and platinum bullion prices? To learn more, go to www.sdbullion.com and enjoy the lowest prices in the precious metals industry, period.
Hey everyone, this is Elijah Johnson with SilverDoctors.com, and with us today is Bix Weir from RoadToRuta.com. Bix, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's nice to be here, Elijah.
All right, well, I'd first like to discuss about the presidential election. The latest news we have out is that there's going to possibly be an attempted vote count in 3 states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate in this past election, is heading this recount effort. She's, I believe, has millions of dollars behind it now. And now the Clinton campaign is getting on board. What is your perspective on this? Do you think it'll change the result at all?
Ultimately, no, I don't think so. Clearly, Trump won't be president until January 20th when he gets sworn in. There's a lot that can go on. I've been warning people, hey, there's a lot more to go. This is just the beginning of taking out the bad guys. There's a lot more to go. Certain factions will not bow out easily. The Clintons are just horrific human beings, and everyone associated with them. The more you learn about them, the more you learn the kind of things that they were doing in their free time with Pizzagate and all that. It is just, it just makes you sick to your stomach. But besides that, the election was rigged. All elections have been rigged. The question is who rigs it more. You know, there were probably 10 million illegal immigrants who voted in this election for Clinton. So what they're trying to do now is either they won't be able to. I don't believe they'll be able to get Clinton in as president, because if the Electoral College doesn't, if Trump doesn't hit the number on December 19th, it goes to Congress on January 3rd. That's when the vote is supposed to take place. If these recounts are still in process, then Trump won't have enough electoral votes. Then it goes to both the House and the Senate to vote. And since the Republicans control the House and the Senate, most likely we'll see a Trump outcome there. Then again, there's talk that Soros is trying to pay people off from anywhere from the electors to senators and things like that. But ultimately, it comes down to, are the good guys in charge now or the bad guys in charge? I believe wholeheartedly that the good guys are in charge now, and that one of the clear signs is that they let Trump won the election. This wouldn't have happened if the bad guys were still in charge. Yes, the voting is rigged. Whether it's rigged in Trump's favor or Clinton's favor, it doesn't really matter. The end result was the win for Trump, so it's clear that the bad guys couldn't rig it as much as they wanted. I have a feeling that it's just a small faction of the bad guys, meaning the Clintons and those people who are very afraid of all this pedophile stuff coming out, that are kind of saying, well, we want to recount, but if WikiLeaks is going to expose the rest of the pedophile situation, we don't want it. You know, we'll let the good guys do whatever they want to do. So yeah, it's ugly and it's messy and it's not going to be good for a smooth transition. But we never thought it would be a smooth transition. Trump is trying to hold his own by, appointing kind of neocon type Republicans to high-level cabinet positions. But remember, Trump can fire anybody at any time, and that's what he's good at. So the people he appoints, he can on January 21st, he can fire them and then move on to people he really wants in there. So yeah, things are changing. The battles are raging behind the scenes. There's a lot of talk of people being arrested that it doesn't make the news. So we'll see where it goes from here. Right now, people are watching the 19th. The worst thing they can do, and Jill Stein knows this, is to reinvigorate the anti-Trump people so that they think there's a hope, and then all it's going to do is cause riots in the streets and cause chaos and social disorder. And I hope Jill Stein is ready to stand up and say, yes, I did this, I caused this, it's all my fault. I take the blame for all these people dying in the streets because this was my doing. We'll see what happens, but I think it's horrific what she's doing, because the only thing it can do is stir up social unrest, and people will die because she's doing this. And I don't see how it could ever turn out good other than her 5 minutes of fame in the spotlight. So that's kind of my take.
Now back to the House of Representatives. Are you saying that if the recount happens in all these states, I believe it's going to happen in Wisconsin, but you're saying if it happens in all these states and the recount is still going on before the Electoral College votes, then the electors from Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania could vote for whoever they wanted, and then there might be or how would that work?
They can do that now. The whole idea, the electors are supposed to assemble in their state, cast their votes on the 19th of December, and then on the 3rd of January, when the new Congress begins, the votes are counted. If it is in a recount situation, I don't think they can hold a vote in the states that are being recounted on the 19th, and I think that's all part of the plan. So how the process works, it goes to the vote opening day, which is January 3rd in Congress, and Joe Biden would preside over that. If there is no clear winner in the Electoral College because Trump didn't get enough votes because of these recounts, then it would go to a vote in the House and the Senate. And because the Republicans control with the new Republican Senate and the new Republican control of the House, the Republicans should be able to override any challenges and vote Trump in. But it's still up in the air. I've been saying all along, there's a lot of bad guy Republicans who are willing to do anything also not to get Trump in there, and we saw that with a lot of Republicans supporting even Clinton over Trump. So the battles are still raging. I think we'll get Trump into the White House. He wouldn't have made it this far if the good guys weren't in charge now. So I think even though there will be a lot of kind of squirming and problems in the streets because, giving the Clinton supporters hope again and then pulling it away again will be just, they're angry already, and it's not good for the country. Jill Stein I'm sure she's being worked by the people who control her, but what's going to result from this little exercise is not good for the country, not good for the transition. Will likely cause deaths in the street protests and riots that'll go on as people argue about who's our president and who's not our president. So, yeah, I expect the worst from this. Although, from the challenges. And I'd put it all on Jill Stein's head. The Clintons knew that they couldn't do that directly. So I'm sure they supported it and funded it because it costs a lot of money to do this. And that's kind of where we are. And the battle to get Trump into the presidency doesn't end until January 20th when he gets sworn in. So we'll see what happens. And, obviously, if Trump is denied the presidency, you're going to see 50 times worse the street riots because Trump supporters have guns in their hands. All the Hillary supporters, they cry and moan in their universities, but Trump supporters will come out with guns blazing. So it's not good. If Trump can get in, I think a lot of the bad guys will be taken out and tried for their crimes. So they're kind of going all out, and we're going to see a lot of everything they got left to try to keep Trump out of the presidency.
I do find it kind of ironic that in the final debate, when the moderator asked about, will you accept the results of the election, Trump was like, well, we'll wait and see. And then Clinton said, well, this is horrifying. If you don't accept the results of the election, I mean, this is how democracy works. If you don't accept democracy and so on. And now it seems like with the Clinton campaign wanting to do this recount, it's like everything is just flipped on its head. You know, I think it was Jill Stein who was saying, well, maybe the votes were rigged. The Clinton campaign was saying that we shouldn't be talking about that the election could be rigged. Trump is just making excuses and undermining faith in our democracy. And now the whole thing is flipped where it seems like the other side, the Jill Stein and the Clinton campaign is saying, we want to make sure this was done all correctly. And it, as you're saying, it just seems like it's undermining democracy, and the result of this could be very bad.
I agree, but it's not exactly democracy what we're dealing with here, because yes, the votes are rigged. They are rigged, and it's the final question is who has enough rigging power and who is in charge. Is it the bad guys or the good guys? I mean, there was no, I mean, over 10 million illegal immigrants voted in this election, and that's enough to sway almost any state except California. But yeah, democracy is a concept that went by the wayside when electronic voting was adapted. And yeah, you just tell by who makes the voting machines. It's all George Soros sponsored companies. So it's kind of like, did we really have a true vote? Are we a democracy or are we a republic? It's all up in the air. And yeah, we should have there should be no computers involved in voting. There needs to be, and there will be in the future. Everything will change, probably using the blockchain in some way to verify votes. But right now, we're dealing with the system we have. If there is a recount, I'm sure the recount will be rigged. So it's kind of like, okay, who's got the most power? Is it these bad guys that have controlled us for the last 100 years, or is it these new group, what I call the good guys, who are trying to take them out and return us to a republic run by the people and not these people who control our lives. And I think we're getting there. I mean, it's amazing that Trump won. It's amazing that he's still alive between now and Election Day. It's amazing that his path is fairly clear to the White House. But it's still, we still got a couple months left, and the bad guys know what the meaning of Trump being in the White House is. It means they will be adjudicated for their crimes. And those crimes are just the worst crimes you can possibly imagine. And it's the media is now blocking out anything about John Podesta and the Pizzagate conspiracy. Not conspiracy, the Pizzagate facts. I mean, there's just so many facts pointing to this child pedophile ring that Podesta and the Clintons and Obama and Joe Biden is the worst. Oh my God. If you do the work and watch Joe Biden when he gets around little girls, it's just so sad. And it makes you so angry. And anybody who denies the Pizzagate stuff should be just, I mean, how could you let these children be abused the way they are? Anybody who tells me, oh, Pizzagate's a conspiracy, are you kidding me? You're talking about little children who are being abused, and you're going to do nothing? You're going to just say it's a conspiracy and walk away? Everybody needs to get to the bottom of this problem as soon as possible. The facts are all there. I have a strong suspicion that's why Comey dropped the case, is that it would have been so damaging to the republic, so damaging to the fabric of our society, that they can't expose it. Well, who's taking care of these little kids? Little kids being abused every day and murdered because these sick, pathetic human beings who think they have this control over life can do whatever they want, and they do whatever they want to, who knows for what reason, some satanic cult probably. But it's really, really bad that people say, oh, no, we can't talk about this. We're going to call it fake news, while these another little kid is going to be abused and killed because nobody wants to talk about it. You got to get out and talk about it. It is absolutely the worst thing you can do is say, "Oh, it's fake news," or "Oh, are you kidding? That's just conspiracy theory." By saying that, you are allowing more children to be abused and killed.
So do you think Trump will prosecute these people? I know when it comes to like the email scandal on Hillary's side, before, he was elected, he was saying, let's, lock her up and so on. And everyone at his rallies was chanting, lock her up. And he said, I'm going to have an independent prosecutor look into Clinton's case. And now he was interviewed a couple weeks ago on 60 Minutes, and he was asked about, will you prosecute Hillary Clinton? And he was like, well, I don't know. I want to focus on jobs. The Clintons are good people. And it's like, wait a second. It seems like he's doing a 180-degree turn. Do you think he'll actually prosecute these people?
You got to remember how Trump negotiates. When he'll say everything's fine, and then rip you a new one. That's what he's doing now. He's not our president yet. He's not in office. If he said, "Oh, I'm gonna prosecute Hillary Clinton," and there's more going on, then everybody associated would do anything they could to take Trump out, as in murder, as in change the electoral college votes, anything. Trump has to play it cool until he gets in on the 20th. After the 20th, yeah, he can do anything he wants. And if Hillary Clinton is still alive these days, there's even question about that. But if he said he's not going to prosecute Hillary, he is going to prosecute the Clinton Foundation, because they have child trafficking laws they are breaking all over the place. What went on in Haiti is just horrific, and people are starting to find it out. So I'm not Trump. If the story gets out, that's the other thing. If the facts get out to the public would demand that Hillary Clinton be tried for these crimes. They would demand it. Even Hillary Clinton supporters, the biggest bleeding heart people in the world, would be jumping up and down saying, "Oh my God, I cannot believe how much they fooled us." And that is we have to come in the United States. We have to come to the realizations that what we think we know, we don't. We think the markets are traded freely every day. They aren't. We think our government upholds the rule of law. They don't. We need a mass awakening if we're going to move further. And I think that's where we are. I think we're in the process of that, but we're not in a place to pull the trigger yet. We have to get Trump into office. And then we have to bring out all the facts. And I think that's, you notice there's not many WikiLeaks, although I heard today there was a new release of WikiLeaks, but there hasn't been many. After Trump gets into office, I think all government emails should be released to the world, and to show people exactly what was going on. And all these pedophiles and all these criminals and all these sick satanic worshipers should all be called to the mat and say, this is your email. These are the people that you associate yourself with. These are the people you had these sick parties with, that you abused young children. It goes so much farther than the that plane that Bill Clinton was flying on with Jeffrey Epstein. They called it the Lolita Express, to his supposedly sex island of pedophilia. I mean, that is not even the tip of the iceberg, and this Pizzagate thing is the tip, because nobody really knows how high it goes. They know that Obama had them over to the White House for all these pizza parties with young kids. They know that the Clintons have used, John Podesta was Clinton's right-hand person, the head of her campaign, and he is knee-deep in this stuff. It's just, it's so sick and so wrong that everybody needs to do their own research on this and find out the truth. And then at some point, if we're all jumping up and down, screaming that this is still going on, these children are still being abused every day, including today, and every day that we hide ourselves and call it fake news is another child dies or another child gets abused sexually. This is so I I didn't mean for this interview to get into this, but it is such a big thing that the world is kind of glossing over, and they're calling, whoever talks about it is a conspiracy theorist. Elijah, you and I know these conspiracy theories are based on some facts usually. And the key is, and because this is so important with children, the key is to find out what facts are real and what facts are not real.
I definitely agree that we should, whenever we hear anything about this, we shouldn't, just dismiss it as a conspiracy theory, because that's not an argument. Just saying something's a conspiracy theory. There are plenty of conspiracies that have been proven true in the past. But yeah, definitely also not just accept everything you hear, but look into the facts of the matter is definitely a good.
Definitely, right? Yeah, definitely. And don't close your eyes as soon as you see one thing that says, "Oh, it's fake news." That's where this whole fake news thing started. The whole meme of fake news was to cover this up, and now they're trying to say everything's fake news, from SGT report to what I do to Zero Hedge to what Ron Paul's writing. They're saying everything's fake news, but the reality is they're just trying to cover up this gigantic piece of news that's going to hit the wires, and it should have hit. They've been talking about it for a long time, this pedophile ring. In Norway, they just busted, I think, 20 or 30 people involved, and they have connections to the Podesta thing. And it's high government officials. And this is coming to the United States. They've already busted a lot of them in the UK, although they haven't busted some of the higher ones. But yeah, this is really bad, and it's coming here. And we need to keep our eyes open for it and watch for it and sort out the lies and what is truth and things like that.
All right. Well, if you had time just for one last question about Trump, you were saying that, it seems like he's kind of playing it cool right now. He's saying, well, I don't know if I'll prosecute. I want to focus on jobs. He's doing that because he wants to first get into office. He doesn't want to be assassinated or anything like that. Now, it seems like also he's hiring different people that a lot of them seem to be, neoconservative establishment type. Is he doing that for the same reason? What is your take?
Yes. His who was this spokesman? Kellyanne something?
Yeah, Kellyanne Conway.
She came out yesterday and said, Mitt Romney didn't support Trump, and he they don't have the same philosophy. And then Trump came out today saying, "Oh, she didn't know what she's talking about," and no. Trump has to interview people like Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney is no different than Hillary Clinton, completely bought and paid for by the bad guys. And that would be the worst Secretary of State I can possibly imagine. But like I said, Trump's got to play the game till the end, and this game is far from over. And until he becomes president, he can even hire Mitt Romney as Secretary of State, and on January 21st he can fire him. That's what Trump does. That's what he's good at. If he hired a neocon who's going to do something to subvert his administration, he's going to not only fire him but probably prosecute him. So yeah, it is. There's a whole new ethos that will be coming to Washington, and those who have been part of the bad guys' game for this long are shaking in their boots, and they will do anything to not allow Trump to clean up Washington, because that means, can you imagine what it would do to the establishment, especially people in these really bad illegal rings and things like that? This is the change. This is the transition I've been talking about for so long. The good guys are taking out the bad guys. A huge thing was the presidential election, but it is not even close to over. And this is the transition, and we're transitioning America back to a land of liberty and the rule of law, and it really is happening. And it's exciting, and it's scary, and it's fun, and it's going to be hard. And most likely people will die between now and when the full transition takes place sometime in 2017. Because, part of this transition is taking away the market rigging. And because the markets have been rigged for so long, and it's taking away fiat money too. And because we've used fiat money for so long, it's not going to be an easy transition. And there's no doubt about it. It's all part of it. And we've just begun. It's going to be a really hard 2017 because we're used to having a babysitter. No matter how bad and evil these people were that ruled us, they took care of us. We didn't have to worry about Social Security and feeding ourselves, feeding the homeless, and all that. They made the decisions, and they sucked up all the power in the meantime. And now we're so dependent upon the state that it's going to be really hard going back to taking care of ourselves.
All right. Well, Big Square, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we let you go, did you want to share with the viewers any last thoughts you had and where they can find you online?
I'm working on a new book about the year in 2017, the Economist Magazine conspiracies. Really interesting stuff in this 2017, and it's all about the transition that we're making, and it really does look like the bad guys are admitting that they no longer have control. So I'm getting that out in the next couple of weeks. Go to roadtoruta.com and sign up for free emails. And if you're listening to this, do your homework, do your research on this Pizzagate thing. Don't just walk away saying it's a conspiracy theory or it's fake news. Do your homework.
Once again, Big Spirit, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Elijah.